Hey, you know what YouTube needs right now? More game devlogs. So I welcome you to my game devlog where I show you progress on the game I'm making called Frost. So what is Frost? Frost is a 2D top-down Souls-like game. So what's a Souls-like? A Souls-like is an action role-playing game with its main features being stamina-based combat, rich lore told in obscure ways, challenging difficulty, and really slow door opening animations. And many more features, but I think you get the idea. So in combat you will have two different attacks. The only difference between them is their attack animation. Now the attack animations also depend on the weapon you're currently holding. You will be able to hold one or two weapons at the same time, depending if the weapons are one-handed or two-handed. Now, the combat also goes a little bit more in depth. If we take a closer look here, we have our one-handed sword in our primary hand. So we can do the primary attack, we can see it's a simple swing, and the secondary attack is a simple thrust animation. Now if we switch to a scenario where we have a two-handed sword, let's say the Zweihander, here we can see that its primary attack is a swing, but swing's arc is a bit bigger and the thrust is also a bit different. Now let's also talk about the dual wielding. We already know what kind of animations the sword has. Let's take a look at the dagger. Its primary attack is a stab and this, whatever this is. Now, if we are dual wielding, then if we use the primary attack, it uses the sword. If we use the secondary attack, it uses the dagger, so the secondary animation from the dagger. However, in this case, we delayed the second attack. If we attack immediately afterwards, or at the same time, so we have the primary attack from the sword, and then immediately after the secondary attack from the dagger, we can see that the dagger copied the animation from the sword. And we can also do this vice versa. So we have this weird animation from the dagger, and if we attack immediately with the primary weapon, so with the sword, we also have this animation on the sword. And this is how dual wielding will work. And I hope it will be a lot of fun experimenting with different kinds of weapon combinations. You will also be able to switch loadouts in real time from one loadout to another, and this option will be very important, and we'll soon see why. Diving into the weapons themselves, we have three main weapon types. The first weapon type are the normal weapons, which are your typical swords, maces, and so on. Then we have the special weapons, which are, as the name applies, special. And then we also have the instruments. For today, I'm only going to talk about the normal weapons, since the others are not implemented yet. The normal weapons are then subdivided into slash weapons and blunt weapons. The main difference between them is that slash weapons can only damage enemies that have no armor, while blunt weapons can only damage enemies that have armor. This is the reason that it will be important that you can switch weapons while in combat. So as you can see, you can spam weapons, but what happens if you use the wrong weapon on a wrong enemy? Not only do you deal no damage, it will also stagger you, which will leave you vulnerable to your opponents. I also have already made a health and a stamina system. Now, when I mentioned combat, I never mentioned that it uses any stamina, and that's because it doesn't. So, what does use stamina then? Besides your basic movement options, you will also have a dash. The dash is quite self-explanatory, and if you dash, you will be invulnerable to all kinds of attacks, but you will also use one stamina point. Now I also want to talk to you about the name of the game, Frost, and why it's called that way. Frost will be a core mechanic. Each area you will go through will be colder and snowier. which will make your character cold, and that will inflict frost. For each frost point you have, you will lose 1 max stamina. To combat the frost, you will be able to find equipment and items that give you warmth, that reduces the cold inflicted to you upon the world. That's all I had to show to you today. I hope you found the game interesting, and I'll see you in the next game devlog when it will be ready. Stay safe, stay warm, and have a nice day.